Hi, my name's Nick Broughton and I'm a Randomfish. Hit that subscribe button and let's be Randomfishes together, shall we? Now, there's another vlog that I'm going to do in a little bit that is a bit more... It's a bit less scripted and a little bit more of an update about what's going to happen on the channel. Obviously, a lot of things have been said, not a lot of things have really been done. This is through various things that I'm going to try and rectify over the next few weeks, maybe even the next few months or so, I don't know. We'll have to see in terms of time period what's going on. Anyway, let's move on to the review, shall we? So, I've watched some very bizarre films in my time. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Shark last time was just hell on earth. It wasn't even funny bad. Like, my way of judging a film is very much a case of, if it's so bad it's funny, I'm okay with it. If it's bad in a lot of places, but still very good in other places, I, again, have no problem with it. It's one of the reasons why I liked Lost Boys 3, The Thirst. It's why I liked that film. It wasn't great, don't get me wrong. It was shot in the same shitty way that Raiders of the Lost Shark was in a lot of ways. But it had some good stuff in it. It had some heart, it had some good characters. It also had a character in there that I liked from a previous film, from The Lost Boys. And just a bunch of stuff like that, and it was nice. It was nice to see it. But this week, I decided to get back to good old-fashioned basics. I decided to go back to a place where I knew about various... I wanted to go back to one of the original crossovers. Original crossover films. We have a lot of versus films these days, a lot of team-up movies, and I wanted to go back to some of the originals. Now, I'm not talking about the classic horror monsters. Those... from way back when, like Frankenstein's Monster, the Wolfman, Dracula, they've had team-ups a lot of the time. Universal Monsters. They were the epitome of the first team-ups. However, for me, one of my favourite team-ups, and one of the ones that I'm going to look at here today, is this one. King Kong versus Godzilla. Godzilla. Excuse my incredibly racist accent there, possibly. Either that or just a random quote from a very, very weird-ass remake. But King Kong vs. Godzilla was made in 1963. Think about that. Released in 1963. Way back when. This film has a lot of cool stuff about it, and I'm gonna preface this review by just saying this. You need to watch it. You really do. It's not even a so bad it's good. It's just a good film. I mean, okay, let's talk about the basics here. So, King Kong is still on the island. He's still accepting sacrifices. He's working within this tribe in Africa and all this sort of thing, where they send various things to him and he ends up eating them and he's appeased and he doesn't do anything stupid like destroy the island or whatever. As we've seen in various other films and various other things that King Kong have been involved in. Godzilla turns up on the shores of Japan and starts trying to blow stuff up. They get brought together as a way of one taking down the other. It's really quite entertaining. I'm not going to tell you who wins. Not really by a long shot, but you know, I'm not going to tell you who wins because I think it's something you need to experience for yourself. But here's some of the things that I find increasingly fun about this film. Number one, it starts out with an English telecaster, an American telecaster I should say, doing a story about Godzilla, about him sort of, you know, potential issues of him returning, about a scientist who has found about Kong in the jungle and wants to go and investigate and all this sort of thing. And these guys are all based in Japan. Now these guys, they're American, but they speak English. We then cut to the Japanese actors, who are dubbed. My feelings about dubbed voices become one of two things. One, they're either so badly done it's hilarious, or the other extreme, which is they're done quite well and you don't even care the fact that what they're saying isn't what's coming out of their mouths. Because obviously they're speaking in another language, it's just translating for you as it's been said, obviously, hence the term of dubbing. But I find bizarrely that King Kong vs. Godzilla does fall into the latter category for me, not the former. And it's quite entertaining. I'm not saying that the acting is good, but I have to say, while the dubbed acting, I should say, isn't great, the dubbed acting the dubbed voices are very... They feel monotone at times. But it's almost completely overshadowed by the acting coming from these guys. These actors, you know, it's like you don't even care that they're not speaking English, you know, or if the dubbed voices weren't there, you wouldn't care, because the emotion they're radiating is so much more interesting and it's so much better. And it does, to me, very much create this idea that nothing is without fault. Nothing is without flaw. But it takes a very special kind of film to take the flaws and make them look so good by comparison that you never have to judge them as flaws ever again. Dubbing is one of those things for me. I find dubbing to be brilliant no matter what it is. Whether it's so bad it's funny, or if it actually is fairly good dubbing. I don't care. It's going to be cool either way for me. The other thing that really made it cool for me was when Godzilla first steps out, or when Godzilla's just walking around, or when King Kong's walking around, you get, of course, the guy in the suit. Because as we all know, way back in the 60s, CG wasn't a thing. Or if it was a thing, it wasn't as good a thing as it could have been in future versions. It's done through a lot of trick shots, through a lot of practical effects, which is really cool. And again, so bad it's good actually does come into play here. Whilst the dubbed voices over the top, I didn't really care because of the emotion being radiated by the actors. In this, it's so obvious how these things are changed that you don't actually care, because you just enjoy watching this guy in a suit, very clearly in a suit by the way, crushing things or blowing things up with his, you know, radiated fire breath. For example, the tanks and the cars that exist, you know that they're real in the shot when they're flying and the actors are running out of the way, because it's very clearly real. But the second you see Godzilla walking towards them, everything changes. Like, you see these people that were once running, you get to a shot of Godzilla, all of a sudden they're stood still, like statues. Almost as if they're just action figures stood on a very large playing mat. You know, it's very weird. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where it's so obvious because of the time period, but you just don't care, because it's fun. As for the people who played Godzilla and King Kong, I must admit, I mean, I've never had my issue with people doing that. I've never had any issues with the old school Godzilla or King Kong movies. I haven't watched all of them, because, well, I've barely watched any of them, really. Especially the old Godzilla stuff. But it's not like I don't see where it's coming from. You know, Godzilla, for a lot of people, is an amazing film. An amazing set of films, I should say. As well as King Kong. This is the first time you see the two of them fighting against each other. And apparently, it's going to happen again in today's cinema. Which I am definitely looking forward to. This is being recorded in 2018. In 2018, we're going to get Godzilla King of Monsters, starring 11 from Stranger Things, which is kind of cool. And yet, I'm guessing by 2019, maybe 2020 possibly, we're going to have a Godzilla vs. King Kong movie. I'm hoping we get a Mecha Kong at some point. Simply for no other reason than to see if they can replicate or in any way duplicate the sound of from Mecha Kong. Because that would be awesome. You know, just all of this stuff that's sort of happened, and all these films that have led up to this. In retrospect, if you look back on this film, it's a lot like how we felt about Avengers. When Avengers Assemble first came out in 2012, I want to say, we'd had a build-up of several films, of several characters, all of which we got an emotional investment in. Now, Godzilla and King Kong, the audience had to develop an emotional connection with someone. And the films were done in such a way that the emotional connection was not with the human characters, it was not with the bad guy, it was with the monster. It was with the ape and the lizard. That's how this worked. And in this film, It's very much like watching Avengers Assemble, or possibly, even more slightly better, Civil War. Seeing two characters that you know are both doing what they need to do in order to keep going, in order to survive, in order to be the hero, whatever. These characters you know and have developed an attachment to, and yet you have to see them being forced to fight each other. It's sad, it's brilliant, it's fun, but it makes you want to watch it again and again because of those ideas. This review is mainly to do with me telling you about a lot of the fun stuff that happens in this film. I refuse to. I'm not very good at editing to show clips anyway. It is just me and this camera. That's literally it. There's nothing else. There's no major computer nerd behind me. There's no man behind the camera. There's no one doing my makeup, as you can clearly see from this face. But it is just me and a camera giving you my thoughts, and it is incredibly fun to watch. And I think one of the things that I know about when I do these reviews is I don't do a lot of... I think that you need to go out and experience these films for themselves, and nowhere is that more painfully asserted than King Kong vs. Godzilla. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail because, frankly, I think that's enough. I think you should go away, watch this film for yourself, enjoy it. Don't enjoy it, I don't care. Pick it up in CEX, pick it up in any kind of local second-hand film or DVD shop. Because, frankly, that film is worth it. You should look it up, you should find it, it's brilliant. And while you're at it, watch the other original films as well. Because you know what? Despite the time period they're made in, it doesn't take away the gravity of the awesome. It's like watching the first Ben-Hur. The sequel, the remake is absolutely awful. Because they tried so hard with so much CG, and yet the original, not a problem. With Clash of the Titans, both versions, perfectly fine on their own merits. I will prefer the original to the remake, but then again, like I said before, watching older films, to me, does not take away the gravity of their ability, or their situation, or what passion was put in to make them. But anyway, Randomfish out, watch King Kong vs. Godzilla, thank me later, okay?